Now, ladies and gentlemen, over the past week, Gaben has been cooking 3 days in a row with continuous updates, and I gotta say, this kind of feels like a dream. But just like anything else, especially when it comes from Valve, though, there's always a catch. This time around, it's only for Counter-Strike 2, and currently people who have access to it. And the majority of the CS population, at least as of right now, are stuck on Global Offensive. And we're not gonna see any change until we get a shot at playing, either through the limited test build, or just possibly the full release. But the update from late last night just changed everything, when it comes to case drops, but also access to CS2. The CS devs are rolling out more access passes, players who are not former or current Valorant pros, and I gotta say, it actually feels like a fair share of the CS community. A lot of people on my timeline, YouTube comments are getting it. Rather than the first time around, it was more of a marketing tactic towards the more popular people, I guess, on the internet. If you haven't been on CS the past couple of days, I suggest you launch it up, and from there, you'll see if you got access to it or not. Valve also just completely changed the drop system, which before was pretty much random, up to 3 cases a week. Now you are having one that's guaranteed. And while this, like any other update, has caused prices to skyrocket. In today's video, I want to discuss CS2 access, check out the most recent blog post, and how this new update will impact the future of the market, specifically with cases and how we obtain them. Now, today's video sponsor is SkinsMonkey. SkinsMonkey is a trading site for your CSGO skins. It's one of the easiest and safest ways to swap out your inventory for something new. Extra cash on every trade gets added to your balance. It also has a 30% deposit bonus. And if you use the link in the description or use my code MANDO in 2 different ways, one which adds 5%, totaling out to 35 for your deposit bonus. And if you're a first-time user, you can get up to a free $5 on your first trade. They also have a freebies tab where you can enter giveaways for free. If interested, it'll be the top of the link in the description below. Now, firstly, I want to talk about case drops and how they used to work. So prior to today's update, if you had the game before Danger Zone came out in 2018 when CS went free to play, you were grandfathered already into this, that being Prime. But if you were newer than that, you had to pay for Prime in order to get drops. How it used to be is you'd get 3 cases a week, or up to that anyway. Most people would only get 1 to 2, and you typically only get cases from the primary drop pool. And then you have a 1% chance to get anything else from the rare drop pool cases. But now, according to the blog post, which we will hop into, players now get a weapon case from their first weekly XP rank up. So whenever you rank up from playing deathmatch competitive throughout the week, your first match always gives you the most amount of XP rather than some amount of idle time. Now, the big thing about this and why this is, well, somewhat concerning for some people, this is pretty much going to knock away case farmer, which I actually think this is really beneficial for Valve. Number one, when you're playing deathmatch and playing random matches, you're not going to run into people who are AFK all the time. Not to say that you probably won't, it's just going to be a lot less frequent. It's also going to adjust the player count and tell us how many people are actually playing CSGO or possibly CS2 in the future when it fully releases. Because when the Revolution case dropped, when everything went to $1, this was something I discussed, why I thought the player count was heavily inflated because cases were so profitable. Depending on where you lived in the world and how much power you were using, it wasn't the worst idea if you had an old PC to turn it on and probably go for a case drop. Now, the CS Twitter has been absolutely popping off. If we scroll all the way down here, they talked about yesterday, release notes are up for today, CSGO and Counter-Strike 2 are receiving new updates, and in another wave, or more so the second one, of limited test invites are going out. Now, they replied to this tweet saying the case drop changed. Graffiti and weapon drops have not gone away. When ranking up, players will receive a weekly case and their graffiti weapon drop, or graffiti/weapon drop. If we click on over here to updates on the blog post, it talks about case drops like we just discussed, the CS2 limited access, and a bunch of stuff regarding maps, just Mirage mainly, with bug fixes. Now, the biggest part for most people with this update, which affects CSGO and CS2 players, is case drops. At this point in time, we're not going to know how it works and how it really affects the market in the long term, probably for the next couple of weeks. But if you look at prices from today and just the past few hours, everything is up exponentially. And I gotta say, I'm not really surprised by this either. Pretty much any update that says something is removed, harder to get, is usually over-exaggerated by a long shot. And this is no different. Cases, I don't think are gonna be so much more rare than they were before. xMercyCS has a really good point on this. There's a lot more people actively playing the game who are getting dropped rather than just AFK case farmers. So corrections are probably gonna happen in the next couple of weeks, but at the end of the day, we're not really gonna know until it happens. The cheapest case is currently the Snakebite, Fracture, and then the Prisma and Danger Zone, the normal order we saw before. And it's still really odd to see a lot of these prices the way they are. As it goes from this update, the player count doesn't seem to be too much affected, at least at this point, which is pretty good. And lastly, for today's video, I want to discuss the CS2 limited test build. The past 24 hours, I've received countless questions on how they can play it. Long story short, I'm not sure. The only thing Valve has said publicly is that it pretty much comes down to playtime and how much you've played recently. When the CS2 limited test build first dropped, it was all about your playtime in the past couple of months. If you played a lot, you had a better chance of getting it, but if we looked at certain accounts, it wasn't really the case. Ex-pro players who cheated, like Kukli for an example, got it, and what I noticed, the people who received it had a very weird and big differences in PCs, just random specs. My thoughts on that, I thought it was for optimization. Valve could get a better idea of how to optimize the game better for different people. Gotta say, at this point, it feels utterly pointless to play Global Offensive because in the next couple of months, it's gonna be on the chopping block and everyone's gonna be on CS2. Let me know what you guys think down below. Did you guys get access? And what are your thoughts on this case change? I think the market's overreacting reacting just like anything else. And I guess something else for another commentary sometime is a big question on why Valve made this decision. If they made cases more affordable and easier to get, they'd make more money technically, right? At least that's what you think. Is this them possibly just phasing out cases and maybe going the way of how the Anubis package is released? Most likely not. Have a great day. Stay positive, stay sexy. I'm out, guys. Peace.